Good evening to all the participants has joined for the webinar series in the day 2 of the session. So as you all know, we are having with the 1 week webinar series. So I hope you have all gathered with the census information on the day 1. So in the day 2 of this webinar series,
good evening to all
we'll
the
be learning about the cloud computing technology, which is the future of the scalable and the on-demand technology. As you all know, we are having with the 1 week webinar series. So I hope you have all gathered with the census information. It will be posted with the attendance link. So in the day after 30 minutes of the session, so you can be learning about the cloud computing for attendance so that you can be availing your certificates. So, as you all know, we are having with the let's begin with the session for today. So, I hope you have all gathered with the census information. It will be posted with the attendance. So, as I told, so in the after 30 minutes of the session, so knowing about the domain of the technology, so that you can be availing your certificates. In the current industry tech trends as well. So that is webinar cloud computing. So I hope you have all gathered with the census information. It will be posted why we need the cloud. Good evening to all the participants of the cloud technology. So why it is relevant so as you all know, we are having what is this webinar cloud. So I hope you are all gathered learning with the census information. Why we need the data 30 minutes of the session. So
we'll get to know about the characteristics of the business.
What is this webinar? So I hope you are all gathered learning with the census information. Why we need the data 30 minutes of the session. So
we'll get to know characteristics of the business.
what is this webinar? So I hope you are all gathered learning with the census information.
After the characteristics of the cloud, we will be learning on the cloud service model and also with the cloud deployment models as well. And we'll also get to know about the pros and cons of the technology that we are going to learn for today. So hope you got to know about what and all topics we'll be covering for the today's session. So let's begin with stepping into the knowing of the knowledge on the cloud computing. So before we know what is the cloud computing, we need to know with the several factors that has been made with the emergence of this cloud computing. So before the advent of the cloud computing, business faced several challenges, like when it came to the hosting websites and managing their digital infrastructure. So to fully understand why cloud computing it became so essential, we must first examine the issues that existed prior to its emergence. So in the past, hosting a website required purchasing a stack of the physical servers. So we need to buy a stack of servers. So this was an expensive endeavor. So as servers were costly and business had to invest with a significant capital in acquiring and maintaining them. So additionally with this buy of stack of servers, we had one more challenge, that is the issue of the high traffic with the more servers. So the issue of traffic with the variability posed another major challenge. So website traffic fluctuate throughout the day, right? If there is like more number of servers connected, there will be like fluctuations with the connections of the servers with more trafficking in it. So website traffic fluctuates throughout the day, meaning that business often had to allocate resources based on the peak demand for it. So however, this led to inefficiency because during of the off-peak hours, these resources remain with the underutilized, resulting in unnecessary expenditure as well. And another major concern was that with the monitoring and maintaining of the service. So business had to dedicate time and personnel to troubleshooting infrastructure related problems in the maintenance and monitoring of the service. So this meant that instead of focusing on core business operation and decision making, companies had to divert resource toward the IT management. So as the result, they face two choices: either handle the infrastructure issues internally, leading to multitasking and divided attention, or hire additional IT personnel, thereby increasing with the extra costs. So the challenges mentioned over here above led to several disadvantages as well. So first and foremost, the high cost of setting up, as I mentioned, with the maintaining of stack of service was a financial burden, and the troubleshooting became an ongoing struggle, consuming valuable time and resources that could have been better utilized were forced either like over provision or under provision with resources. So in cases where traffic was high, server capacity could become insufficient, causing downtime and performance issues. So conversely, during periods of low traffic, business paid for unused server space, leading to this financial inefficiencies. So these challenges, as I said, it created a demand for more efficient, scalable and cost-effective solution, leading to the rise of the cloud computing is what we need to be known how it came to the emergences. So these were all the concerned challenges and difficulties which made us in order to enter into the emergence of the cloud computing technology. So in this today's digital world where almost everything is moving online, cloud computing has become an indispensable tool. So it offers with the flexibility, cost savings and enhanced security, making it as the preferred choice of business for all sizes, right? So that transition from the traditional hosting to the cloud computing has revolutionized with the how organization operate, ensuring with a seamless scalability and better resource management as well. So hope you got to know with what and all challenges led to the emergence of the cloud computing. Moving on with, as I told, our second thing is to discuss why cloud was needed, right? So think about how we consume the digital content today. So we store files on the Google Drive, listen to music on Spotify, watch movies on the Netflix or Amazon Prime. And we also use online applications like Google Documents, right? So all these resources, we have it in a system, which is our physical server. So before cloud computing, business had to buy the stack of servers as I mentioned. Constant, we have to be constantly monitoring them and scale up manually. So this was expensive and inefficient for the storage purpose as well. So this led to a problem. So where should I be storing this data? There is a huge amount of data that is available. Where should I store it? Running out of the hard devices which I own. Should I be storing it in USB drive, hard disk? It can't be done as a permanent solution, right? So this is where we enter into a technology in the usage of the cloud and which covers with the concepts of cloud computing. So what is cloud? So why do we need it? So with the cloud computing, organization can store unlimited files, scale up during high traffic, reduce maintenance cost, access application from anywhere. So in fact, the global cloud computing revenue is expected to surpass with the 1 trillion by 2026. So this is why cloud computing is the backbone for the today's digital transformation. So now coming up with what is cloud exactly, cloud computing. The cloud refers to the vast network, so which will be allowing anyone with a credit card to provision virtual hardware, runtime environments and the services. Right. So the cloud refers to here is a vast network, the remote network of services connected via the internet. Instead of relying on local storage or the physical service, you can access resources online. So for example, think of your laptop. So it has a limited storage, right? So but with the cloud storage, you get with the virtually unlimited space for storage of all your files securely as well. So cloud services fall into like different categories. It might be with the cloud storage or email services or with the streaming. So we'll look into our further conversation. So what exactly is the cloud computing? We also got to know with this. So as I also told, So we'll be dependent on the local system with a limited space. We can dump everything with the help of the cloud services that it has been offering with the utilization of a cloud with the unlimited space. So instead of relying on your local computer or a physical server in your office, you can access these resources over the internet. So the cloud in the cloud computing will be referring to the vast network of remote services which makes us accessible with the help of the internet services. So now we got to know with the purpose of cloud computing, and we also know what the cloud computing exactly means. So moving on, we have a few of the examples of the cloud services. So this was what I mentioned on. So first one, with the cloud storage, we can be storing your files online. So cloud provides with the storage. So for example, the Google Drive or with the Dropbox. Moving on to the next service, which is email services. It might be with a Gmail or with the Outlook. So you can access your emails from anywhere or with any devices as well. And third one is the streaming services. So it might be with the Netflix, YouTube. So watching movies and TV shows, online streaming services is of the one of the example of this cloud services. And fourth one is the software as a service, which will be learning in a further conversation as well. So using of this online application example which I already listed out, like Google Docs, Office 365 components. So cloud computing is about the on-demand access to computing resources over the internet without owning the infrastructure. So what are the characteristics that hold with it is what we'll be discussing further. Coming up with the key characteristics. So the first one will be the high availability and reliability. So the first one, as I said, the availability of service is high and more reliable because of the chances of infrastructure failure is minimum. So consider you are being in India and you have moved to the USA for the work purpose, and you had the cloud environment that you have been created in India in your workspace, and you have several files and storage of pictures that or any important docs that you have stored with your cloud environment that is created in India. But you will be able to access if you are having with the credentials of login ID and password if you have settled in USA with the help of this cloud environment, as you will be able to access it from anywhere, right? So that much reliable is what the one of the characteristics of this cloud. Next is the high scalability. Cloud offers the on-demand provision of resources on a large scale with ease, right? So assume that today, basically you purchase some cloud storage, you are recording videos or storing it, and you think that 100 GB will be fine. You purchase plan and paid 1 month plan. So after few weeks, you realize that 100 GB is not enough for it. So you need more like 1 TB space within it, and this time cloud services the providers will be very happy to do this because you can increase or decrease the size of space which you have purchased with the cloud environment. So this is also one of the key characteristics out of it. And the third one is the device and the location independence. So if you want to open some files at that time, you can use your mobile phones or the PCs, tablets, iPads, laptops, or any kind of device. So basically you can use it on any device because most of the cloud providing websites are 100% most optimized to run on any devices regardless of their location. So it is very easily accessible without disturbing in the location independence. Fourth one is the maintenance. So maintenance of the cloud computing applications is easier since they do not need to be installed on each user of the computer. Moving on with the next point, we have with the low cost. So cost will be really low as well as you are purchasing with the cloud service usage of the providers. And the last point is the service in the pay per use mode, as a low cost is dependent on this key characteristics as well. So APIs are provided to the users so that they can access services on the cloud by using APIs and can pay as per the use. So how much ever the usage you are using the cloud service, you can be paying based on the pay per use model. So if you used the space for 1 hour or 2 hours or based on the spaces, you'll be paying only for the usage of the availability of how much you have used rather than you rent it. So if you rent it or invest on the infrastructure, it will be very cost. So to making it cost effective or low cost, you'll be making use of the characteristics or the advantages that is being provided from the cloud service provider, that is pay per use mode. So these were all the key characteristics that we have gone through, that is high availability and reliability, high scalability, device and location independence, maintenance, low cost and service in the pay per use mode. Next is coming with the architecture of the cloud computing. So this architecture of the cloud computing is being divided into two parts. The first part comes with the front end and the second one is the back end. So what all you can see in the front end? So if you see in the diagram of the architecture over here, so with the front end of the diagram, you will be able to see with the client infrastructure and the internet, right? So it is used by the client side. So it contains the client side interface and applications that are required to access the cloud computing platform. So example, you will be accessing through the internet with the help of the browsers, that is Firefox or the Chrome, Internet Explorer and many more. Moving on with the second part, that is backend. So the backend is used by the service providers. So it manages all the resources that are required to provide the cloud computing services. It might be accessible with the service provider, it might be with the application or with the service or with the runtime cloud, the storage, the infrastructure. So these are all the components that is residing in the backend with the providence of the security and the management of the cloud service provider for the services to offer to the clients that they are accessing with the help of the browsers that they are accessing with the help of the internet. So this is about the architecture of the cloud computing, which defines the structure, how it is accessible for both the client side and the server side in the front end and the back end design of it. Next is our cloud service models. So coming with the cloud computing, we have the two different types of models that we'll be making usage of over here. First is the service models and the second is the deployment models, which we'll be seeing on further. Considering the first one, the cloud service model, a cloud service manager, it will be managing that which type of service you access according to the client's requirement. So the services will be managed based upon the client requirements that you'll be accessing. So in this main cloud service models, we have three types. First one is the infrastructure as a service. Second one, the platform as a service. And the third one, the software as a service. So let's see one after the other with all these service models. So as I told, with the cloud services, we can manage with all the accessing of this service models offered by the cloud computing service providers according to the cloud's requirement. Moving on with the first, we'll be looking into the infrastructure as a service. So what is this infrastructure as a service? So this service offers us the rental of the services, operating system, virtual machines and the storages. So it will be providing us the basic building blocks for cloud infrastructure, such as the virtual machine, storage and the networking. So you can also manage everything above the infrastructure layer like operating systems, apps and data. So business manages their own apps and data and we don't have to worry about the hardware with the help of this infrastructure as a service. So few of the examples that is being listed over here are the examples that is being associated with the infrastructure as a service. First one we have with the AWS EC2, the cloud computing engine, and also with the Microsoft Azure virtual machines. Next service model is the platform as a service. So this platform as a service will be providing us the pre-built platform for the development. So it provides basically the platform and environment to develop, test and deploy application without managing and underlying the infrastructure. So your focus will be mainly on building your app, the platform. It will be handling the setup like the operating system and the server management. So you'll be deploying, testing and maintaining and managing the applications on the platform. So associated with this, we have with a few examples as well. One of is Google App Engine, the Microsoft Azure App Services, and we also have another example as Heroku as a platform as a service as well, which will be utilizing this one of the service model. The last one is the software as a service. So software as a service over here will be fully built software that runs on the cloud. So you have already built this complete software, but you will be making use of the cloud service provider for running it on the cloud. So software that fully built will be maintained and hosted by the provider, which will be using over the internet. So you only need to use the software, no need of no development or infrastructure management required in this service model. So few of the examples are like Google Workspace, that is Gmail, or the Google Docs, Google Drive, and also with the Microsoft 365, maybe with the Word presentation, and also with the Netflix, which also uses this SaaS model. So now we got to know with the different types of the service models. So as I discussed, we also have another type of model, that is deployment model, which is what we will be seeing now. Cloud deployment models. So cloud deployment models define how cloud services are set up, managed and made available to the users. So these are with the deployment model services which will be offered, and what all it will be including is that we have public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud and the community cloud. So cloud services can be deployed in the different ways depending upon the security, accessibility and the control requirements. So we'll see each one of the deployment models and the usage of it and the examples as well with the deployment of all these models. Moving on with the first one, we have the public cloud. So the cloud infrastructure here in this public cloud, it is made available to the general public over the internet and it is owned by the public provider. So services will be offered over the internet and it is very available to anyone who wants to use or buy them with the help of the cloud service provider. And basically this cloud will be managed and owned by the infrastructure of the cloud service provider. So companies like Amazon, you might have heard of AWS, the Microsoft Azure or with the Google Cloud practitioner offer public cloud services. So you can rent the virtual machines, storage and other services without worrying about the infrastructure, as the cloud service providers will manage the infrastructure and they own it. So you just utilizing it and with the help of the internet access over here with the public cloud. Next is the private cloud. So the cloud infrastructure is exclusively operated by a single organization. So it can be managed by the organization or a third party and may exist on the premises or on the off premises. So services are dedicated to a single organization over here. So the infrastructure can be managed either by the organization itself or by the third party, as I said. A large company might use a private cloud for its internal applications and management of the resources. So keeping all their data secure and isolated from others. So to compare it with an example, we have the example over here, the bank infrastructure that is maintained. So bank utilizes the private cloud to manage the sensitive financial data. The bank details, the bank account holder details, and the FD details, all details, these are very crucial and sensitive financial data. So they need a private cloud access to store it securely and very safely. So private cloud will be very helpful if you are running with a single organization for security purpose. The third one is the hybrid cloud. So this is like consisting of the functionalities of both public and the private cloud. So it is like a mix of both public and the private clouds. So it allows data and applications to be shared between them, offering more flexibility and the deployment options. So a company might use a private cloud for critical data and a public cloud for less sensitive tasks like website hosting or with the email. So example, like if you consider federal agencies opt for the private clouds when sensitive information is involved. Also they use public cloud to share the data sets with general public or with other government departments as well. So if you have a own a company and you want to store the sensitive data in a private cloud, but you want to host it as a website on a public cloud, you will be making use of the hybrid cloud combination to serve the purpose of both public and the private cloud. And the last, we have the community cloud, which will be shared by the organization with the similar needs. So a community cloud is shared by the several organizations with the similar needs and the requirements. So you run a company and you have also one of the friend which is running with a similar kind of a company, and you want to secure the details by sharing, by purchasing with a single cloud. At that time, you can be creating with this community cloud. So if you want to compare it with an example, you have an option to create a community in WhatsApp, right? The same purpose is being served with this community cloud as well. So a community cloud will be shared with by several organizations with the similar needs and the requirements. The infrastructure will be used collectively for the benefit of the group. So where and all we see with this community cloud means that like several healthcare organization may share a community cloud to store and manage the patient's record securely. So if you're owning a hospital and you also own a clinic, so where you can store the patient's data, the healthcare information in a single cloud, managing and storing their patients' records and information very securely and efficiently as well. And also the educational institution shares the cloud resources for the academic data. There will be different courses that will be perceived by the students in a single institution with the different degrees that they'll be owning. So every data of the students can be stored in a single cloud, but the sharing with the community that will be created will be making use of this community cloud. I hope you got an idea of both the service models and the deployment models of the cloud. So if you have any doubt within it, you can be posting in the chat box. I'll be replying it for that as well at the end of my session. Moving on with the next concept. So let us know with major cloud service providers that we have. So we have few of the top companies offering with the cloud computing services, which I also listed as an examples while I was discussing with the service models and the deployment models. So first one we have with the Amazon Web Services, and second one with the Microsoft Azure, and the third one is the Google Cloud Platform. So why we are considering only these three as the top cloud providers means, So Amazon Web Services almost holds the 34% of the market share. And the Microsoft Azure holds almost 21% of the market share. Similarly with the Google Cloud Platform, it holds almost 11% of the market share. So these three are in the top, which holds the highest market share of the cloud service providers. And we have also have with the other cloud services providers. It might be with the IBM Cloud or the Oracle Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Salesforce Cloud, and the Digital Ocean as well. So the major market share and the services offered are these three, which comes on the top in the serving and providing of the cloud services. Discussing with the first cloud service provider, we have the Amazon Web Services, which is like a giant toolkit for running technology online. It offers various and vast amount of services like storage, computing power, databases, and more. So imagine you want to start an online store with AWS. You can. How? You can host your website using AWS servers instead of buying your own, which will be very much costly purchasing your own website. The second thing is you can store product images and videos with the help of the service that is being offered with the Amazon Web Services, that is AWS S3, which is a storage for services. And the third one, you can be making use of the AWS Lambda to automatically process the customer orders. So these are the few examples that has been listed under the Amazon Web Services and their services that have been offering. Moving on with the next, we have with the Microsoft Azure. So it is also one of the cloud platform and it integrates well with the business already using with the Microsoft tools like Office 365 and Windows, which you will be already aware of it as well. So imagine you are having a large company managing employees worldwide. With Azure, you can store employee data securely with the help of Azure SQL database, and you can also use Azure virtual machines to run the HR software, and you can also build a chatbot for employee support using the Azure bot service. And the third top cloud provider which I mentioned was the Google Cloud Platform. So similarly with the services with as Amazon Web Services, but it is specially known for its advanced AI and data tools. So imagine you are a video streaming platform like YouTube with Google Cloud. You can store and deliver videos to users quickly using the Google Cloud storage, and you can also use the BigQuery to analyze which videos are trending, and you can also implement voice to text subtitles with the help of the Google's AI tools that is being offering with the help of this Google Cloud Platform service providers. So these were all the cloud services that majorly offering these services with help of these offers from Amazon, Microsoft and Google. Next, so as we all got to know about entirely with this technology, there have been several advantages and also with the minimal of the disadvantages of this tech. Coming with the first one, advantages, we can easily back up and restore data once you are holding the data in the cloud. And we also have with the improved collaboration. So as we discussed, we can share the data very easily as it is very reliable and compatible, and excellent accessibility is the key advantages of the cloud computing, and it is very low maintenance cost as well, and the mobility. So you can be accessible with the different kinds of devices. And next advantage is that it provides the unlimited storage capacity as per you will be paying out for your services that you will be making use of with the help of the service provider. And also the last option, which is the main key role of this cloud service provider technique, is that pay per use model. So you will be paying as per your usage of the model over here. So we all got to know with all these advantages of these technologies, we have also with a few of the disadvantages, the cons of this technology. The first comes with the internet connectivity. The proper internet is required, else the files or data can't be accessed easily. Even though if you have all the credentials and the cloud access, you should have a proper internet connectivity wherever you will be able to access the cloud services. So the con will be the internet connectivity. Next is the limited control. So most of the management are controlled by the service providers. So as they own and manage the cloud access, there will be only limited control that will be provided for the users that they are used, the clients whoever purchase the service offers by the cloud providers. And the third one is the security. So if your data goes to wrong hands, will lead to many problems. So it doesn't mean that the cloud providers doesn't provide efficient security. So if the user, the clients who are purchased with the service provider model of the cloud service, if the credentials is being leaked, so there will be a lot of chances of losing of the data or their files or the storage that they have maintained within the cloud that they have been accessing for the days from which they have started over. So these are the limited cons where it will be much more efficiently maintained in this technology. So thank you. So this was about unveiling the cloud computing, about the future of scalable and the on-demand technology. I hope everyone got the idea about learning about what is cloud computing, why we needed cloud computing, what were the advantages, the different deployment models, service models, and also with a few of the cons of the technologies of cloud computing. So if you have any doubts or any queries, you can feel free to drop in the chat box. So meantime, I'll be also posting with attendance link. You can be filling out and mark your attendance so that you can avail the certificates for this webinar series that you have attended. So the attendance link has been posted in the chat box, so you can start giving your feedback over there, and it will be marked as your attendance as well for attending with this session. So if you have any queries or any information that you need to be known from Pantech side, you can be contacting the concerned given number in the feedback form that is available. Yes, the chat box is live now. If you have any queries or if you want to know more about the cloud computing, you can be feel free to ask or drop your queries in the chat box. So if no doubts, so thank you all for attending with the session. So stay tuned for continuing with the webinar series for another 3 days with this week webinar series of different technologies. So thank you all for attending with the session.